before we get started with today's video, you guys don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel for more coming videos. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to my brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about A Plague Tale Innocence. This game became my 126 Platinum Trophy. Next video I'll be talking about will be its sequel, A Plague Tale Requiem. But first, let's go ahead and get started with this video. If you're new to my channel, be sure to like and subscribe. So starting on Chapter 1, you're playing as Amicia Daroon, and you and your father are in the woods looking for some food and stuff, and he also teaches you how to shoot your sling. So anyway, this is how you start in the game and stuff. And then you're also traveling with your dog named Leon, and so he teaches you how to shoot and stuff, and he set up some targets, and you only have about 10 seconds to shoot all 6 of them down and stuff. So that's how you learn to use your sling. So you will be using your sling in part of this game. You don't hardly use it in the second game, but it does make sense when you keep going in this game and stuff. There will be some collectibles you do have to get as well, and some materials and stuff, so we'll talk about that later. But anyway, on this part right here, as I mentioned, is that they hunt for food, and there's this boar that Amicia ends up shooting stuff. So they go chasing it, and they notice that a boar was partially eaten and stuff, and it was dead in the woods. Then Amicia comes up and finds her dog nearly dying and stuff. And then there was something in the ground that ends up eating her dog up and stuff. And this part right here was actually quite sad, because you find out that the creatures in the ground were actually rats. So anyway, after that happens, you go back home, and there's like a target practice that they set up for you, and you can even discover a gift and also a curiosity, which is the spices up on the second floor, like when you climb this ladder in the kitchen area at your house, and it's located like right here. I'll leave a link in the description of a guide that I followed to get everything in the game, so don't worry about that. There is a guide to look for all the collectibles. Then afterwards, I went upstairs and went to go talk to my mother, and then talk to Hugo and stuff. And the servant stopped me and told me about the condition of my brother, and also that my mother wanted to talk to me. So I went and explored a little bit, so that way I don't, I like exploring. And also the servant told me there was something on my bed that she wanted to give me. So that was another like, I think, curiosity or gift or something like that. So there are about 26. There's 26 curiosities you gotta find, and there are a few gifts in the game that you also gotta find. So afterwards, I went to go talk to my mother. Her name is Beatrice Daroon, and she is a alchemist, and she's trying to find a cure to help with Hugo's sickness. And just so happens that a tragedy happens at their estate, to where her Amicia and Hugo has to escape, and her husband ends up getting killed in the game. So yeah, Amicia's father, Hugo's father, he ends up getting killed by the French Inquisition, and that's the people that's part of the game and everything. And that's who you have to totally run from, and also battle and stuff like that. The only reason for that is because they're looking for Hugo, so that way they can take him to the Grand Inquisitor, and he is a complete douchebag under the record, and he wants Hugo, and also tell him that Hugo has a mysterious power, which Beatrice knew about and stuff, but never told Amicia. So Amicia was about to go outside and stuff, and then there's this guard waiting outside for her and was gonna, get them, but then Beatrice saved them. So the good part is, the next part is we had to escape the estate, and there were some guards all around the estate, and we had to make our way outside. So after discovering that your father was killed, you, Beatrice, and Amicia ends up going through another area and stuff. And then Beatrice told Hugo and Amicia to go on ahead. I gotta stay here and all that. And then all of a sudden, somebody assumedly kills her. And oh no, here comes Sir Nicholas. Yeah, that's that guy right there in the hood. He actually saved Beatrice from getting killed, so he risked his life, and she ends up surviving in the game. So that guy, his name is Sir Nicholas, and he is the assistant to the Grand Inquisitor, and he's also trying to kidnap Hugo and take him to the Grand Inquisitor, and you and Hugo end up running and stuff. So right after that event and stuff, you end up at this old lady's house, and you run from the Inquisitor, and she tells you that there are some materials near a workbench that you can upgrade your sling and stuff. And so you upgrade your sling at least once, just so that when you swing it, it doesn't make a lot of noise. So the next part afterwards, she said, how does that's much better and stuff like that. And Amicia agrees, but then all of a sudden on this part right here, Hugo and Amicia, they have a little bit of a fight, and Amicia gets angry and with Hugo for some reason, and he ends up running. So later in this part right here, Hugo, this knight right here is he's like, trying to get Hugo and stuff like that, so it ends up you have to fight him, and he starts swinging at you. You gotta dodge and stuff, and then he has a weakness on his front and back armor that you have to shoot with your sling, and it knocks off part of his armor. So there's like one in the front of his chest, one on his back, and then you gotta shoot him another time on the back as well, and then that knocks off his helmet. Another thing I need to mention to you guys too is be aware that your ammo is very limited, so be sure to grab ammo wherever you find some. And if you see like shining going on, that's where you'll find extra stones and stuff. So anyway, after I knocked off the last armor and stuff, I ended up hitting this guy on the head, and he goes down dead. And that was Amicia's very first kill, and it kind of scared Hugo a little bit. So over the course of the game, you'll also find some materials, and the materials is used to upgrade. So this is your upgrade system right here, and you can only access it through the workshop crafting table. and throughout the game you'll find materials and stuff. But my advice to you guys is do not spend your cords or your leather, especially on tools that you get later in the game, because if you do, then just like what happened to me, I did not end up getting the upgrades for the equipment, and they always say go for the equipment first on the upgrades, and I ended up having to do another playthrough all because of that. So second of all is your codex. The codex shows you your gifts and curiosities that you find in the game. I will leave a link at the bottom of the description on a guide that I use to find everything, including the secret alchemist chest and of course the flowers that you have to find in the game. The next part, you also talk to this priest right here, and he ends up not knowing who in the world you are at first, but then he discovers the necklace that Hugo is wearing, and he discovers that it's a rune necklace. So he ends up helping out Amicia and Hugo, and tries to help him find safety and stuff like that by taking him to the next area. But then discovers that Misha tells him that Hugo is sick. So Hugo was born with a type of disease, and it's he also has the ability to control rats, and you'll discover that like towards the end of the game, and that's why Hugo is going through a disease, and when he controls his rats, control the rats and stuff, well, the rest is explained in the second game, but the disease could take over him and he could lose control and stuff like that. But anyway, the priest takes him inside and discovers that there was other priests besides him, and they all ended up getting eaten by the rats. So he grabs a torch and takes them inside of the area, and what happens next is there's these rats that comes out of nowhere. But first, the priest gives you the torch, and he was going to move on ahead, but then ends up getting eaten. So I was actually that was quite an intense scene right there. And there is some intense scenes in this game as well, but this was very, very disturbing. But it was also very shocked to see that he got eaten after he was going to help you out. So anyway, the next area I ended up going to, I'll climb this ladder, and there was this area where there's a couple of materials. Number one was sulfur, and the other one was leather. Now, as I mentioned, leather and cords are the most rarest to find in the game, so you be sure not to spend on tools in the game, because if you do, then you're gonna have to start a whole new playthrough, as I mentioned, and I'll explain that later in the game on that. So just stay tuned for that in this video. So I made my way through the levels and stuff, and I was avoiding rats as much as possible. So you gotta make sure that in the game you gotta light up these pits and stuff. That's what I call them, pits. And you also end up later on, Lucas will tell you how to make these like igniter tools, and it actually becomes much more easier the more you move into the game, and it's just it's actually pretty fun, if I do say so. So yeah, so your main goal is to stay in the light, because if you don't, the rats will slowly creep up on you and start to attack you and eat you. So that's where the game you'll have to like reload a checkpoint or a section or something like that. And then right afterwards, I ended up going through the store right here, and there was absolutely 0 rats in this next area, and me and Hugo were safe. There was a work craft table right there, and there was a way where I had to go to. I discovered 2 cords in this area, and I thought I could upgrade stuff, but my opinion was I was going to save my materials for later on, so I decided to do that. And so I just moved straight on to the next area, and me and Hugo just ended up making it towards the end of the game, and safe, well, end of the level, I mean, end of the chapter, and we have to make our way through the rats and stuff like that, light up a bunch of different pits, and then we just made our way outside, and that was the end of chapter 3. So, as I mentioned to you guys, in Chapter 3, you'll discover your very first workbench. And Chapter 3 is actually where you can get more materials. It's where you can start saving up your materials. And then you can also upgrade your equipment, like by Chapter like 14 or 15. So, be sure to save up all your material, and always get more material if you use them for like tools and stuff, because it's really important for this, guys, in order to get the trophy for your equipment. So right at towards the end of the level, we ended up having to run outside. The rats were quickly gaining on us, and we just made our way outside, and Amisha and Hugo were pretty tired, and Hugo was really sad. He wanted his mom. Throughout the game, he's like, I want my mom, and Amisha keeps telling him that she's gone and all that. But then later on in the game, you actually find out that Beatrice is alive, and I was actually pretty shocked about that. So in this next part right here, I ended up coming up to this little tree trunk and stuff, and I wanted to explore some of the areas, and we were near a lake and stuff like that, and up against this tree trunk near a fireplace, there was another curiosity that I found, and it was actually quite beautiful to see this scenery and stuff. I thought the environments were fun. So on this part right here, I ended up, Hugo ends up running, and he wants to play hide and seek with his sister, and I ended up getting a trophy where you had to sneak up behind him and scare him and stuff. So instead of him finding you, you find him, and she ends up telling him, don't ever do that again, and it was quite upsetting to me because all he wanted to do was play with his sister, and she just yells at him. So in this next part, when you reach Laurentius's farm, you discover that Laurentius was bitten by rats and stuff, and he was dying. So he had an apprentice named Lucas who ends up following you and stuff, and staying with you, and he's also learning how to be an alchemist, and teaches you how to do the ignifer or tool and stuff like that. And along the game and stuff, he'll even teach you how to do other tools. And I also ended up getting another trophy where I completed the chapter as well. So this next part right here, we throughout the next chapter, we ended up coming upon this part where you have to take this cart right here and drag it along to where there are rats in the area, and I had to move it up to this little chest area right here, and there were some materials. So I had to move the cart along, and there's a couple of guards along the way, and I I had to eliminate them both in order for me to access each area, or else they'd come running for me. And I don't discover using the extinguish tool, because the extinguish tool would have taken care of their like lanterns and stuff like that. But then I shot his lantern and the rats just ended up eating him up. So yeah, that's what happened. And on this part right here, we had to run from the Inquisition and stuff. And Hugo ends up tripping, and we were trying to get out of the area, and then there was this guy that comes up behind me and knocks me out, and that was the end of that chapter. So the next chapter, I ended up waking up in a cage, and the Inquisition got me in a cage, and Hugo was also in the cage, and there was this mysterious girl who ended up saving me, and her name, it was Melly. Now, Melly and Arthur, they end up joining you later on in the game. Melly has some pretty good skills, if I do say so. She can lockpick any type of chest for you in the game. And not only that, but her brother can even cause some distractions and stuff. So in this level right here, Melly leads you out of the cage and stuff, and you also have to cause distractions, and Melly will call up upon her brother to do the distraction while you and her make your way out of this level right here. So to make your way to your brother and stuff, and that's what happens. So later on, you end up finding your brother and Melly and stuff like that, and oh no, Sir Nicholas comes out of nowhere through a gate, and Arthur causes this little smoke distraction, and you and Hugo end up running. But then there's some enemy soldiers that tries to stop you, so you have to shoot them with your sling and run away from them. So at least that's what happens and stuff. So the next part right here is they have to find a place to hide and stuff. So you, Melly, and Hugo have to find a way across this windmill to get there. And then we have to go through a cave area and cross the lake in order to get there. But before I did any of that, I ended up finding all the curiosities in the game. So I had to shoot this little chain and climb this windowsill. I told Hugo to stay there for a minute. So Melly helped me up, and I ended up finding my last curiosity, which was a horseshoe. And I was done with that right there, the Curiosity Hunter trophy. And then the next part, me and Hugo crossed the lake, and the next area we ended up making our way to was this abandoned castle, and we ended up staying there for at least several months, and so yeah, it ended up being our home and stuff like that, and that's where most of the game comes into place. So you end up staying there, and you and your group just ends up staying there and stuff. But first thing you had to do is you had to light up these hanging pits, and you had to drag the rats to this one pit. And there's a pit like at the edge right over there, and you have to like you and Melly has to work together and drag the pits along and stuff, and the rats fall right into that pit over there, and that's the only way you can get to safety and stuff. So right on this part right here, I ended up getting a trophy for completing another chapter and stuff like that, and everybody was like, we're home and all that. We found our place where we could stay, and that was the end of the chapter. So on this part right here, Hugo and Amicia discovered this tree at the castle, and in honor of their parents and stuff. They find this like tree and they hang both of their necklaces. And this was actually a really sad part right here. And so they both hang their necklaces in honor of their parents. And they end up being a little sad and stuff. Do it in honor of their father. And so Hugo hangs up his necklace with her. And he says he misses his mom and stuff. And they hug and everything. I mean, I thought that was a beautiful moment right there. So in chapter 8, you and Melly have to leave and go look for some materials and stuff like that, and try to find some kind of cure for Hugo, and end up getting a trophy to complete chapter 13. Chapter 14 was where I had to go to the university. Amicia had to go there to get this book for Lucas, and I ended up finding a flower on the left next to a log. So that was one of the flowers I needed for a trophy. Okay, and there was more materials near the workcraft table that I needed, and I ended up fully upgrading my pockets, and afterwards I was going to save my materials. And then right afterwards, that was pretty much it on that part. So I ended up guiding these rats to the left because I had to get to the other side there, and I had to get those rats out of my way. So after that, though, I ended up crafting my last tool, and I got the alchemist tool. I got the alchemist trophy where you do 100 tools, like you craft over 100 tools. On this part right here, this was where you can go through the front door, but I made a mistake and went through the side, and I got the trophy for completing the chapter. This is the upgrade table, and I got alchemy as my next row of upgrades. I made a big mistake and upgraded those as well, and I should not have done that. I should have upgraded my equipment more because I made a big mistake on that part. This part right here is the Grand Inquisitor right here. He's the real reason why he wants Hugo so bad. He wants Hugo so that he can use use him for the rats, like he has the power to control rats, and he wants to use it to kill people around the world and everything. But anyway, you meet Roderick here, and he's prisoner to the Grand Inquisitor. So in this part right here, you do have to save him because he ends up being your ally, and he comes with you, stays with you at the castle, and he literally has nobody. So I don't know why he was actually kidnapped for. So I think he killed his father. I don't know, don't quote me. I really don't know the reason, but yeah, we end up saving him, and we do some of the mission. We do a mission where we had to go to the university, get this book for Lucas, and then head back to the castle. Then afterwards, I got the trophy for completing the chapter. And then on the next part right here, Roderick, we blast through a door, and there's this thing on the floor and stuff, and we were talking about it in the game and stuff like that. We were talking about it. Roderick was telling me about it, and then Lucas calls me up and says that Hugo is gradually getting worse, like his condition, his diseases getting worse and stuff. So at some point you and Lucas will have to go to the estate, to Amicia's estate, and get a a type of ingredient that her mom was working on and stuff. So that's pretty much what you got to do in this part. So yeah, right after this cutscene, you end up getting another trophy, and that was it on that part. And then in chapter 12 right here, there was only just one more little collectible that I needed to get for I think it was the gift or something. Yeah, it was the last gift I needed. And then I ended up making it to another area. So yeah, I made it to another area where there's these two soldiers, and they're trapped by, of course, rats, and they are also dying. So there's this trophy here where it's called Merciful, and what happens here is that Amicia ends up talking to them and says, and then she says, "Shut up," to one of them, and says, "I'm not going to be merciful to you," and all that. And at first, I ended up accidentally pushing a button. I thought that you could not kill them or whatever, but you actually can. You can actually throw your sling at them, and I accidentally did, and I ended up having to restart the checkpoint. So right after I did, actually got that complete, and yeah, I sort of had to restart the checkpoint on this part. But anyway, yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention, guys. I do apologize if these cutscenes, start at the same time and stuff. I should have fixed that, but one is the full cutscene, the other one is where I get the trophy, so just go with it here. But anyway, right after you go past the soldiers and stuff, whatever you do, do not use extinguish, okay? Don't use extinguish, or else you're going to miss this trophy right here, like I did my first time. But anyway, right after I got the materials right next to this one guy right here, there were some materials right here. I ended up going through the door, and I got the trophy called Merciful. So right afterwards, that was it. And then me and Lucas made our way to the other side, and we ended up pulling a cart ahead, and I was protecting Lucas and stuff. So yeah, that was pretty much it right there. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Right after I went through this gate, that was it. I went through the gate, and yeah, there's the trophy right there. So this segment right here took me about 5 minutes to complete. You have to protect Lucas from pulling the cart, because that's basically how you can get from one side to the other. And you also have to protect him from these group of rats that starts a cyclone. So right when you do and stuff, be sure to keep using igniter tools. You have to craft a lot of those throughout your journey and stuff like that upward. But you don't have to worry about running out of materials, because in some sections there are some materials where they'll give you and stuff. And then from there, that's pretty much it. You just protect Lucas, going on straight, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty simple, and it was actually a whole lot of fun. However, there was a couple of close calls where I almost didn't make it, and I was actually pretty shocked about that, because I thought I wasn't going to make this, honestly, because the rats were getting so close to me and Lucas that I thought we were going to fail this. So right before I moved a little bit, I crafted 2 more igniter tools and then moved right straight ahead. And then there was some more materials here, and I used the igniter tool and blasted a couple more of those igniters, and then we finally made it to the end here, and we both had to catch our breath here. Mostly me too, but but Lucas, on the other hand, he was so out of breath from pulling that cart and stuff. I bet it was just heavy for him to go straight on and stuff. Amicia was congratulating him for making it and stuff, and Lucas nearly passed out on this part. But yeah, right when we kept going and stuff, and there was there was a lot of things that, I was looking for and stuff. I was looking for seeing if there's any materials, and then we discovered that we are at our estate right here, Amicia's estate, where her and her father and mother used to live here, and discovered that one of the servants and stuff actually risked his life to save her mom's, and that was very sweet of him to do that, and I was actually quite shocked to see that, because the blood was on the fence and everything. But anyway, right after we left the estate and everything, we ended up getting the potion that her mom was working on, and it was a cure for Hugo and everything. So made it back, Hugo drank it, and Hugo laid down and stuff, and Amicia was totally looking at him and really hoping to find a cure for him, and still is, and then completed the chapter for that. Now, the next chapter was actually pretty short. It's where Amicia has this dream of Hugo going with St. Nicholas, and of course the Inquisitor and all that. So yeah, that was a quite short level right there. There was no collectibles or nothing, and ended up getting a trophy for that. This next level right here is where you play as Hugo, and you're in this one circular room where you have to control the rats and eliminate anyone who tries to come near you. And the only way of defending yourself is by controlling the rats that Hugo can control, and right afterwards, Hugo starts to not feel right and everything, and he ends up killing all the men that comes up to him. And Sir Nicholas, well, he's another story right there. Right after Amicia saves him, then you have to do a battle with him and everything, and he's like, "I'm so sick of you, girl," and all that stuff. But anyway, Hugo was watching and stuff like that. This next part is what I'm talking about right here, guys. Hugo takes over the rats and aims it at an enemy and eats them up and everything. So you do that for about 5 minutes, and then it's over. And then I ended up getting a trophy for that, and yeah, that was pretty much it. So that was the end of this chapter right here. But you don't, I don't think you do this part until after you discover you follow Sir Nicholas and all. But I don't know. But anyway, Amicia wakes up after having a bad dream about Hugo. Hugo's been gone for over a month. She really misses him, and she ends up going back to sleep and stuff like that. She's had a bad dream about him, and so yeah. But anyways, I was saying, it's been a month since she last saw him, and she's willing to do anything to get her brother back. But yeah, that's pretty much how everything is right there. So I'm back at the castle, and then Sir Nicholas is... yeah, he's wanting to do a battle with me. Hugo ends up coming to the castle, controlling the rats, and then Sir Nicholas is with him, and Hugo was the one that was attacking me and Millie and Roderick, Lucas, everyone. and there was these rats coming along the courtyard, taking out all the fires and everything. So your main goal right here, afterwards you get through all the parts, is this boss fight with Nicholas. So your main goal is to take out the fires, and not only that, but take out the fire that's on him as well, and then use Hugo and control the rats, and then it will hurt him a lot. So be sure that you stay hidden for a few seconds, take out the fire on him, and then last but not least, control the rats, and then it will cause damage on Nicholas right there. So right after that, he's all done. So bye-bye Nicholas, and right afterwards I ended up getting a trophy for beating this level, and I was actually pretty happy with this. So right afterwards we beat Nicholas. Mellie's brother was killed, and she wants revenge on the Inquisitor. I don't blame her. I would have been the same way too if that was my brother as well. So they all decide to work together to defeat the Inquisitor, and well, that's the end of this chapter. So now on to chapter 16. Chapter 16 is where you do have to go up against them. So your all's goal is basically split up. So Mellie's with Lucas, Roderick is with Amicia and Hugo. Now, at the end, I completely forgot to record the clip for the end part, but the ending to the game is where you have to defeat the Inquisitor. And he also controls rats just like Hugo does. So, playing as Amicia, you do have to give commands to Hugo and also do other things as well. So it's really not a hard fight, but you do need to be patient with it and stuff. So on this part right here, Roderick has an ability where he can get up behind enemies and snap their neck for you, because Amicia has no way of defeating armored enemies, so you gotta make sure of that. So right after that, he just snaps their neck with no problem. And the funny part is what he says is, I like it. And he ends up liking to do that. And that's one of the funniest parts right there about this game and stuff. So, the next part right here, so here's what happens. After you shoot a, if you did shoot a stone at one of those stones, and there was rats around, it would have killed the enemy. But on this part right here, I ended up finding a alchemist cart right in front of an enemy. So I had Roderick take him out, and then I discovered my last cart right there, and see, these alchemist carts, there are 5 of them in the game, and on this part right here, you can actually find some good materials. But just like I said earlier, guys, do not, and I mean do not, use materials like leather and cord for like your tools or anything, because if you do, then you'll have to play a whole new playthrough for the materials and stuff, because you won't have enough to upgrade, and you certainly won't have enough materials to get the trophies as well. Next trophy was, of course, a where I found the last flower, and I got the trophy called Botanist. It was actually quite simple. Every flower that you find, Hugo puts it in Amicia's hair, and that was the last flower in the game. So be sure to look up a guide for that. Pretty simple. Next one was where I had to, number one, I had to take this enemy out in order to reach this next collectible. So right when I reach this next area, you don't go up those stairs. There's actually a curiosity near a dead body, so I got the trophy for finding all the curiosities in the game. And then this next part right here is actually where you get a trophy for completing chapter 16, and you can actually skip the credits every time in order for that trophy to pop up each time. Pretty simple and stuff. And it starts the bonus chapter called chapter 17. And then right after you complete it, another trophy pops where you complete all the chapters. And that one was actually really easy right there. So all you do is skip the cutscene, and that's it. You have the trophy. Next trophy I missed in my first playthrough was the Sling Training Trophy. They set up this target area in the back of a stable, and all you gotta do is just use your sling on these 5 glass cups, and that's it. So I got my first missed trophy. The second trophy I also missed was feeding Hugo an apple, and it took quite a second for the button to show up, and after I pushed it, Amicia gives Hugo an apple, and he says I was hungry and everything. So he ends up walking around with an apple, and you get the trophy feeding the hungry. Next trophy is where you have to light up the lantern near a enemy. So you have to look for this. You have to clear it up a little bit by bringing over a cart and stuff, and then use your sling with igniter and then throw it at that lantern there, and you get a trophy there. Another trophy is where you find a tomb of an unknown soldier or commander or whatever it is, but Amicia and Hugo say a prayer for him, and then they don't know who he is, so they pay tribute to him, and you get the trophy called Tribute. Other trophy I had to go for was where I had to walk. I missed this my first playthrough, but you have to make your way to the front door of the university, and then you get a trophy for that as well, called the Hard Way. Another trophy, it involves Hugo in the next chapter. So in this chapter right here, you play as Hugo, and you have to sneak your way around and stuff. And if Hugo once gets detected, then that's it. The mission's over, or the chapter's over, and you have to like restart at checkpoint or restart at section, whatever it says. So that's pretty much how it works right there. And this next part right here is actually one of the biggest parts in the game that I wanted to show you guys how to do. So as I sneaked my way over to the side here, you have to follow Nicholas around, and you end up getting this trophy called Captain's Sidekick. I don't know why I called him St. Nicholas. I don't know why I said that. I meant to say Captain Nicholas. I think that's what his name is. I don't know. Correct me, guys, if I'm wrong on that. But anyway, you got to make your way to the area where he enters, where Nicholas enters in, and he closes the door. So you got to sneak and not be too close to him. So Nicholas is going to go to the right. You need to go to the left, and then make your way to the area where Nicholas goes to. And then you got to be careful of them back there looking at you, because if they do see you once, then you definitely failed this. So make your way to the door right here, and Nicholas will eventually enter into it. And then voila, after you enter the door, you get the trophy called Captain's Sidekick. So last but not least, you guys, is the last trophy, which is not a toy anymore. So that's the last sling upgrade I needed, and then I got the platinum for my 126 platinum. But anyway, guys, wanted to say thank you for tuning in this video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more upcoming videos, and I will see you next time on Red TV Plays.